Is disability a curse? Is disability a punishment? Is disability a blessing? Is disability a benefit to the rest of humanity? Is disability an inspiration to humanity? Is disability a detriment to human society? Those are all the things we're going to talk about today on the Advocacy Life podcast. Talk to you soon. Hello. My name is Nunez, and I want to welcome you back to another episode of the Advocacy Life podcast and blog. This, of course, is the podcast. Disability and death are the only two certainties in life. There is a misconception in our world that disability will not affect everyone, when the fact is it's the opposite. It affects all of us. So let's bridge those gaps together in a fun, conversational style. Thanks for your time, and hope you enjoy the episode. Greetings, friends, and welcome to another episode of the Advocacy Life podcast. Thank you so much for spending a few minutes with me. Before we get to all the real stuff, let's get to a fun fact. One of my favorite games to play is Star Trek Online. I recently just created a science officer, captain. We're flying the USS New Jersey, and it's one of my favorite games because it's a live action role play, and you get to fly around in space. So let me know in the comments, before we get to all the real stuff, what is your favorite time waste game that you tell no one about because it wastes time and you know it's a distraction, but you still love to play it? Let me know in the comments. Now, let's talk about disabilities in human life. What is disability in the great landscape of humanity? I believe disability is an unrecognized resource and an untapped success story in the American culture. I believe disability is an unrecognized blessing to all of humanity. How can I say this? Disability is not fun. Disability is, in a lot of cases, painful. Disability is a quote-unquote burden to the rest of society, right? It costs us money to take care of people with disabilities. It costs us time and energy. They're a drain on society, right? That's what all the haters say. That's what all the negativity says. That's what the ableism says. But let me explain to you why I believe it's a blessing. As with everything I say on this blog and podcast, everything here is my opinion. That's why I usually don't bring a lot of guests on here, because I don't want to stir up too many hornets. But if you want to be a guest on the podcast after listening to this episode, please let me know and we can arrange something. Now, I want to begin this podcast by telling you a little story. The other night, I was dead asleep. I had a good dinner. It was leftover homemade Chinese rice. Like, this was not Chinese rice at the local, spot. My grandmother, 84 years old, woke up one day and she made homemade Chinese rice. Like, she fried the rice, she put in the vegetables, the whole 9 yards. It was really great. Okay, so 2 or 3 days go by. The rice is still good. I ate it. I know some people don't like leftovers. I usually don't like leftovers, but life happens. So I had this good meal, my rice, went to bed for a good night's sleep. I wake up feeling kind of nauseous. Now, when a regular person gets nauseous, what do? You went to the bathroom, you throw up in a toilet, hopefully. If somebody's with you and you're female, you hold your hair back, right? And they say, oh, let it out, let it out, let it out. But you throw up, and usually it's a bad digestion, and you just go back to sleep, and it's no big deal. Now, what if someone like me has to throw up? Here's what I have to do. I sleep in a positional bed, meaning I can adjust the position of the bed. I was sleeping flat because, like most people, you sleep flat. Your bed doesn't usually move. I usually sleep on my side. I have the urge of nausea. I know this is nausea. I know I'm gonna regurgitate soon. So what do I have to do? I have to pull my bed up into a seated position. Which sounds easy enough, but of course, the bed doesn't move as fast as I want it to. So I'm now holding back the urge to vomit. Because of course I can't just vomit flat on my back or flat on my stomach because I could choke. So once I get the bed into an appropriate position, then I have to call, in this case it was my father because it was 3 in the morning, 3:30. So I have to call my dad, let him know I'm going to puke, and call him without actually puking, because you don't want to have puke all over the, bedroom. So I have to call my dad, then I have to wait for him to get some sort of bowl or receptacle to then vomit. So I can't just vomit. Once all this is in place, luckily my dad was pretty fast, and I proceeded to vomit. Of course, when you have very little torso control, like I do, it's kind of like a projectile exorcist style vomiting. If you've ever seen The Exorcist, there's a part in the movie where the girl that is possessed basically projectiles her vomit all over the room. This was kind of like that. So as I'm now in my shower chair, all natural, shaking because of course I'm in the shower. Honestly, a very frustrating moment because I'm 30 years old. I am single. I have a big family, but let's be honest, the main caregiver in my life is my dad. So it's not like a common when I have like 1,000 people around. So it's very easy to feel a little depressed and just down after a situation like this, because of course you feel like a burden. Because without my dad, I would have been lying in my vomit for God knows how long. So, and of course, at the time, all these negative thoughts kind of rushing your head. Because of course you're not really thinking logically at 3:30 in the morning. Oh my God, you're alone. Oh my God, if your dad wasn't here, you would have just been dead or something, or some kind of, horrible scenario. So when that happens, what do? I stop. Because usually when we get down and we don't feel right, we kind of just tend to wallow and sink deeper and deeper down into the sadness. Because, of course, part of the sadness is true that if my dad wasn't there, I would have A, choked on my vomit if I didn't have the positional bed, or B, I would have lied in my own vomit till God knows when, or something bad could have happened. So you can't deny those facts. I do need someone there. And of course, at 38, and you haven't reached the milestones set by the world, there is no wife. There are no kids. I don't have $1 billion for an army of caregivers like in the movies. Usually when they portray a person with a disability, they have, $1 billion and they have all these caregivers or some kind of inspirational story. Point of the story is, I stopped and I was thankful. I realized, be thankful for the little things. Be thankful that you had a positional bed. Be thankful that you had a dad. There's always going to be something missing. There's always going to be something that's not right. Is it fair that I'm the one doing a podcast? Is it fair that I don't always have the right words to say? No. Is it fair that it takes me 3 years to write one book? Is it fair that after I publish books, no one reads books because it's not a kind of book people read? The highest selling books in America are self-help and erotica. Not the Bible, not like holy other scriptures. Erotica and self-help. So after we think about and do bad things, we then want to feel good, so we read a bunch of self-help garbage to make us feel good, knowing we just did bad. Think about that for a second. So, how do I, with my disability, where I can't do a lot of things for myself, I cannot clean my backside, I cannot tie my shoes, I cannot. The list of things I can't do are pretty long. That can't be denied. But what can I do? I can use the gifts I have. I can make sure I deliver 2 podcasts a month. I can make sure I can publish blogs once a week. Not for my sake. I've been called egotistical, I've been called vain, because I produce all this stuff by my own disability peers. And yes, I do kind of feel selfish in a way, but not in the way like you think. I want to make sure that my message, or the message, of disability and humanity are exposed to the world. Because disability is not a burden. Disability is just another facet of the human existence. Now, why do I think disability is a blessing? Without my disability, I could not have done all the things I've done. I wouldn't be on all these committees. I wouldn't be a recognized advocate. I wouldn't be a recognized voice. Someone has to be the voice for our community. Why did God choose me? Some days I don't know. But if you ask Moses, I'm sure some days he didn't know either. If you ask Paul, Matthew, all those apostles, you ask them, they probably didn't know either. Anybody who has done any great thing has had to struggle more than they've actually succeeded. Let me put this to you another way. Do you realize in baseball, to hit 300, which is a top elite performer in the sport, anybody who has hit over 300 is generally in the Major League Hall of Fame in Cooperstown? Do you realize in order to hit 300, you fail 7 out of 10 times? Think about that. In order to be the very best in baseball, you have to fail 7 out of 10 times to be considered one of the best, to be in the Hall of Fame. That's right. Ruth, Gehrig, Ohtani, because I know Ohtani's in the Hall of Fame at some point. Trout. All those names we all know. They've all failed more than they succeed. Failure is part of the process. Not succeeding is part of the process. So, while it's easy to be down in the dumps and not being positive, because I'll be honest, when I was lying there in my shower chair at 3:30 in the morning, naked, I wasn't feeling very positive. And I wasn't feeling sexy. I wasn't feeling cute. I wasn't feeling successful. I wasn't thinking, oh man, remember that time I went to the White House? I wasn't thinking that. I wasn't thinking, oh man, I'm glad I paid that electric bill last night. Wasn't thinking that. I was thinking, oh my God, if my dad wasn't here, what would I do? I was thinking, oh my God, I could have died in my own vomit if I didn't have a positional bed. I was thinking, oh my God, no girl's ever going to want me because nobody wants a guy that can randomly puke on a Wednesday night and then be fine the next day, but not know why you threw up in the first place. You just threw up and made a whole big mess. And now the sheets gotta be washed, and you gotta take a shower, and you don't go to bed till 4 in the morning, and it's a whole process. These are all the things that are going on in your brain. In the movies, when they want to wash their bed sheets, it's for a good reason. Nobody wants to wash bed sheets covered in vomit. Those are all negative things that occur. You can't deny realities because all that stuff did happen. But you have to change the way you perceive it. You've got to change the way you look at it. It doesn't make things not happen because they happened. But if you look at things from a glass half empty perspective, you are automatically at some point going to fail. Yes, you can plan for the worst case scenario and hope for the best. That's a good attitude to have. But if you don't accept that the best is possible, you will fail. There is more to life than bad. There is more to life than just good. God is all good. He gives everything you need. But that doesn't mean there's not bad in the world. You cannot have in this world, down here in this earth, up in heaven's a different story. But down here in this earth, you're not going to have the good without the bad. You're not going to have the bad without the good. You're not going to have the bad without the good. You've got to learn to accept both. Find the balance. Find success. Find positivity. Ignore negativity. Ignore doubt. Ignore stress. Thanks for listening. I hope I made a difference in your day. Talk to you soon. Have a good day. Bye. Wow, you guys, what a great episode that was. At least for me. Was it for you? If you liked it, please do me a favor. Click the like, click the subscribe. It takes you 2 seconds, and it really, really helps me out. Second, please share this and tell a friend. If you want more content, I've got a free blog that comes out once a week on Wednesdays starting in January. And you want more content, I published 2 books called Living Beyond Disability. It's a book series on Amazon. Check them out. They're all in the description below. If you want more content, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Thread, all that good stuff. They're all in the description below. I've got a PayPal and a Cash App if you want to donate directly. No big deal, just if you want to support. Thank you guys for all the help. Keep on rolling, keep on living.